I figured that after we just cleared every single one of the HSR endgame, I think this is a very good time to let you guys see how Bob has been doing, how he has not been doing, what are his pulling plans, what are his stamina plans, what is he looking out for going forward, his pros and cons for the units that he has been using. For our team comms in Bob, we actually didn't change too much. Right? We have been using the exact same team ever since Hyacinth's last pool, right? 6 months ago when we got ourselves the Hyacinth. Basically, the Herta Anexa into Castoris Maide, right? The Maide was an accidental child, got him in a random 10, and then bro has been sticking with us ever since. Hyacinth was a designated pool at E0, S0, no regrets whatsoever. I think if you're going to be playing for Castoris, these two combined together is going to be having a lot of synergy. RMC is RMC, then Castoris is going to be our, I believe she's the only unit in our entire account that has an S1. Every single one of Bob's account right now is at E0, S0. Castoris is the only one at E0, S1. And as of this point of time, we currently have roughly 200-ish, north of 210, 220 push saved up for the fake collaborations. Have not spent anything, did not pull for Cypher, did not pull for Finon, but we are going to talk about essentially what I am gonna be deciding for Bob's pooling plans going forward, and maybe you guys can also gain a little bit of a insight as to whether or not this can help you with your pooling decisions as well, right? So jumping into our very first team with regards to the Herta as well as Anexa, I would say that for this specific slot over here, this Tribi slot, it is quite flexible. Sometimes I run Tribi in this side, sometimes I run Tribi in the other side, and I just basically bounce between both Tribi as well as RMC. I would say between this team, Herta's build could use a lot more crit rate, right? I'm definitely suffering quite a bit from the lack of S1, and I think going forward, one of the most important things that I'm going to be doing for vertical investments is going to be considering Herta's S1 in order to push this up to the additional 80-ish, 85% crit rate threshold, and add on the Izumo. I think we're going to be having a lot more comfortable clears on top of the additional +1 skill point, right? That is going to be that. We are still running E0, S0 in combat crit rates at 74%, which is you guys have probably seen by now, it's really not doing too good. 126 speed is actually going to be completely fine, because usually if we were to run with Tribi on DDD, we do get ourselves up into the respective 134 thresholds, which unfortunately I need to get this to be a little bit higher than 118 because I'm only running S1 DDD, so that's pretty much it. Everything else for D Herta doesn't really seem to change that much. Didn't level the basic. Maybe this could be a little bit useful one day. Relics are going to be the 4-piece Scholars or the 2-piece Izumo, because I'm always pairing this up with Finon. E0, that is pretty much it, right? And Anexa, I would say that his involvement with D Herta has been absolutely exceptional. I think this pool has been a WW a very good pool at E0, S0, running the Great Cosmic Enterprise, which I think is a pretty decent alternative to Anexa's S1. I think between Anexa's S1 as well as D Herta's S1, D Herta's S1, in my opinion, is going to need a little bit more of a priority, because for this one over here, we actually gain up to a pretty decent chunk of damage. You can see my Anexa in battle, sometimes you can do roughly 100k per bounce, even as a free-to-play with these kind of sort of like tracers, so nothing too big to be worried about. Maybe if you want to mix a little bit more, I could consider changing out the Luxaga into the Routine Arena, but unfortunately I don't think we have enough over there, so both of these are going to be running the 4-piece Scholar, and yep, E0, S0, no regrets, very good pool alongside with D Herta. Now at this point is where we are going to talk into a little bit of a discussion, right? So my slot tree, this slot tree for D Herta as well as Anexa, it is a very contested slot tree. Essentially, I've made the conscious effort to skip Robin. I skip Robin to ensure we get ourselves the E1 Tribi. And I think till this day, I have no regret whatsoever. Right? I have no regrets whatsoever in skipping Babin. Getting this E1 Tribi definitely provided a lot of value for our free-to-play progression. The Tribi build is actually also not too shabby. 88 speed, 4.8k HP is honestly a little bit low, but the crit rate is the most important part. So this is roughly, I believe, 81% crit rate plus the bones, so it's quite nice. So probably 81% crit rate, all of the tracers more or less maxed out. So I think this Tribi is very good. But the most important thing that I'm going to be talking about this slot tree is to basically, whenever we to switch out between Tribi, and at this point the contender is going to be RMC, we have felt sometimes the detachment from Anaxa and Herda might actually do the team a little bit better, especially if for the specific stage we are up against like complete Ice Rest, right? To be fair, the Coca-Cola Apoc Shadow side when we ran Anaxa and Herda, it was actually not too shabby. We actually managed to get, I believe, what, 3-4? Right, a 3-4 clear on the complete Ice Rest running this exact same team. So it's not the worst. But sometimes I do wonder if we were to slump in this tribute into the Gallagher, if we were to get ourselves, like for example, in this case, Sunday, is gonna help our Anaxa ramp up extremely quickly. And Sunday is actually gonna be the one of the main focal point as to why I even want to make this video, discussing whether or not my free-to-play account should even get a Sunday into the roster, right? So I'll get that on a little bit more into the pooling plans, but let me just jump into the team 2 so we can move on a little bit. Alright, Gallagher, just very normal Gallagher, right? Nothing too much to talk about. Lushaka, Sekridos. Yep, that's pretty much it, right? Bro is still sustaining. I would say for pure vision as well as high pressure situations like Hule, it can be quite uncomfortable trying to maintain a sustain, right? The difference between running Gallagher and Hyacinth is legit night and day. I'm not even talking about the new bug generation. In terms of sustain, if you're not able to maintain this Besotted, so for example, Hule is extremely fast. If you don't save your ultimate before he ends his own like ragey turns, you're not hitting shit and you're probably gonna die. In pure vision, if you don't save enough of your Besotted when the next wave happens because, you know, the Besotted runs away, you're gonna die, right? So just a little bit of thing to be mindful of. In our second team, I would say that my Cassius is probably one of the better built units on my account. 9.5k HP plus our power is gonna be 99.7% crit rate into 146% crit damage. I really don't think that, you know, it's nothing too crazy, but nothing too unrelatable as well. So yeah, just very normal builds, right? Super normal. But I think she's probably one of the one that is more or less complete at this point of time. Right Cone is gonna be our S1. I think very good value for Castrius, especially with this additional action value, ignoring the defense. W, max out the tracers. I didn't max out the basic attack, which because, you know, you don't really need to care about it that much. Idolence. Till this day, I keep joking with my chat, you know, this Cassius is going to be my Flame Reaver, right? So every single day as we go on again and again, you know, we would have people saying, oh my god, it's so difficult. Oh my god, E0 Cassius can't even get. It's time to activate the E2. Put the E2 in the back level, bro. Put the E2 in the back level. And legitimately, every single day, if I were to play with my free-to-play account, it's like, oh my god, has he activated his E2 Cassius? Has he activated his E2 Cassius? And all kind of stuff, right? I would just say this E2 Cassius, it will eventually happen. This Cassius is also sort of being like a Phynon. She wants to hold out as long as possible. She wants to hold out and show the YouTube community, right, the HSR community, that even without this E2, for as long as she possibly could, we are able to tackle all of our endgame content, at least 3-starring. It was never meant to be easy, but at least 3-starring and getting rewards, because, you know, that is what the endgame content is about, right? So when the day comes when I eventually activate this E2, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a big hoo-ha, because I already know the moment I even pulled for the E2 Castrius, which I think we were like ridiculously fucking lucky, people were already like really fucking upset. It's like, oh my god, he put E2 Castrius, the account is ruined, it's over. How can a free-to-play even pull for Idolence? Me personally, I think this logic is completely fucking nonsensical, because if you're talking about the best bang for buck for any sort of free-to-play account, vertical investment is the best bang for buck, right? So this argument honestly just wouldn't stand for me. But, you know, in order to maintain itself to as much relatability to the community, and also I think it's also quite fun, it's quite challenging to see myself as well as my chat struggle, mode, backseat, trying to get the full 3-star clear without activating this E2, which is where I think the content is actually going to be coming from. So for now, I'm good with this, but eventually, I'm not sure by when, maybe version 4, version 4.5, version 5, someday Castoris is going to give up, right? Someday she can no longer hold out anymore, and then she's gonna succumb to her rage. She's gonna crash out, she's gonna merge with the E2 and become Iron Tomb Castoris. And then from that point on, we'll see where content is gonna take us going forward, right? Okay, aside from that, this My Day Bro is basically an accidental child, right? Baka player gave us 10 subs, we did a temple, blood spawned in, and I would say sometimes he's, like I mentioned just now, his value is honestly like, it's like a mixed bag, right? He could do some crazy shit, and then sometimes he just does absolutely nothing. No regrets. I'm still running him in the team, and honestly, if I really have to replace someone, it's most likely gonna be this My Day. Slamming on this Sunday over here, and then we get Tribi over here, and we get Sunday over there. I think that would actually be the way I would play it. So it's something like Herda, Anexa, Sunday Gallagher, and then Caceres, Tribi, RMC, and Hyacinth, something like that. But I think for now, I wanna kind of keep this as is. And yup, this My Day is E0S0 with the fucking Firefly Lycone, which is crazy. Almost better the Tracers. This one honestly doesn't really matter too much, so it is what it is. Running a very, very relatable set at E0, right? So that's pretty much it. RMC, nothing too much to talk about. We already know how Bob is doing. She's absolutely her. Use her everywhere. Use him everywhere. Whenever I run it, I'm gonna run it. Unfortunately, I can't run the Memory of Chaos Lycone because the other side I'm gonna be running with Hyacinth because we are gonna be running E0S0. So other than that, nothing too crazy to talk about over here, right? Then lastly for Hyacinth, 205 speed, E0S0. Eventually, if I do want to consider vertical investments, I might get an S1 Hyacinth just for the value it gives to Caceres, as well as My Day, or even potentially because we lost our 50-50 to Blade one time. It's going to be a pretty decent value Lycone for me as well, right? And since, generally speaking, I would say that pulling for Lycones, I will only commit to the pool on the Lycone if I know for a fact that this team comp, I'm sticking with them for like an extended period of time, right? If I know that I'm probably not going to be fully invested, I'm gonna be a little bit skeptical, which is why you can see the only signature Lycone I have on my entire account is gonna be the S1 Caceres. As time progresses, I've played these teams long enough, right? As we all know by now, Herta shilling period is long gone, right? We have stopped shilling for Herta for like a very, very long time. We literally have a double Ice Res Apoc Shadows. So at this point, even after all that, I see, okay, I think Herta and Nexa, this team as a whole, they play pretty nicely. And now is the time where I decide, okay, going for the vertical investment to make Herta keep up with the increasing difficulty for endgame, then in my opinion, it's gonna be the right play for myself, right? So that's how I decide if I want to S1. And then Caceres, I already knew from day one, we're all in, right? We're all in. We got Caceres, we got Tribi, we got Hyacinth, so definitely going for the S1 DPS here is gonna be our choice. So in terms of the other units, I genuinely just kind of stopped using almost all of them. Yep, not even the Bronya. I don't think I've used any other units on my account. These 8 units would pretty much just be used for all of our endgame content until the day eventually comes where we add on the additional units to our roster, which brings us to the most important topic of this entire video. What the hell is my free-to-play pooling plan? So at this point, like I mentioned, this is slightly north of 200-ish pools. Definitely gonna be enough for the Saber Lycone, sorry, the Archer Lycone, which is not even Bob's priority. Right? Like, honestly, Bob doesn't give a flying fuck about this Archer Lycone because there's a very, very low chance that Bob is even going to use Archer in the first place. I do not have Sparkle, I do not have Sunday, I do not have Babin, I do not have like Fush, none of those, right? So even if I were to do 200 pulls, it's strictly because I want the units on this actual banner itself, which is either going to be the greedy and stupid option of pulling for Saber, right? Bob is already admitting that he's being greedy and stupid by pulling for the Saber because Bob watched Fate Zero, Bob watched Fate UBW, Bob watched Heaven's Seal, and Bob is like, oh my god, I need Saber, I need Saber, I need Excalibur, I need everything, you know, she's so cute, she's so white. So Bob is legitimately wanting to be greedy and stupid to pull for the Saber for this account, even though Saber as a whole, to Bob's account, that's absolutely fucking nothing, right? I do not have Sunday for Saber in Bob's account. I do not really have a proper team constructed to even make Saber work. Because if I were to slot in a Saber into any of my team right now, which is going to be Team 1 with D-Herda or Team 2 with Caceres, it is going to be a sunk cost because some of these units has to go, right? Like, for example, there's no fucking way you're running Saber with D-Herda, right? There's no fucking way you're running Saber with like Caceres or My Day, right? So one of these units has probably got to go, which is why I say this pool for Saber is purely Bob being like greedy and stupid, or the logical play, right? The logical play for Bob, oh my god, bro, the logical play is going to be Sunday. This is the logical play. This is the meta play. This is the I don't care about waifu, I don't care about husbando, I don't care about all that. I only want meta. Do you guys see that? Wait, the Sunday icon just hovered over Sunday's face. Do you guys see that? Oh my god, that was so cool. This would be the logical play onto Bob. In fact, because we saved up like 200 over pools for the fake collaboration, right? We are essentially more or less guaranteed for the E0S1. And by a massive, massive margin, getting a E0S1 Sunday would be way, way, way more valuable to Bob's account than an E0S1 Saber. In fact, if you even want to consider playing Saber like, you know, efficiently, Sunday is almost like non-negotiable just because of the energy regeneration, the extra turns, the core resonance and everything else, right? So gonna be in this very particular situation where if I were to pull for Sunday, what is, like I mentioned just now, is essentially gonna happen is I would most likely be benching my day. Cooking up another slot for Sunday. Sunday goes into this team over here, brings 3B into the second half, and then it'll be Casualist, 3B, RMC, and Hyacinth. And then the first team is gonna be Sunday, Anexa, D, Herta, as well as Gallagher. Right, maybe I can swap out my 3B or RMC here and there, but the availability of Sunday for this account is gonna provide a much higher degree of flexibility, because at this point, this My Day slot over here, he's basically bound by Casualist. I can't run Monday as a solo DPS, at least not efficiently, because I don't have Sunday. Right? If you want to run Monday as a solo DPS, you kind of have to run Sunday in the first place. So by including this Sunday slot, it not only opens up a better team building for D Herta, it not only opens up better team building for Casualist, it also technically opens up a better team building for even My Day himself. So if one day I'm going to be up against an imaginary weak enemy, I can simply take out Casualist, slot in Sunday, and I can just run this exact same team with like My Day, Sunday plus 3B, and then RMC goes here, right? By all logic and sense, even as like a, not even as a guide maker, right? Like fuck the guide maker, even as a player, Sunday's pool value in Honkai support reel as a free-to-play account such as this, it is definitely making a lot more sense. Which finally brings me to the last point of concern, the upcoming 3.5 Ceridra. I know for a fact that Bob is skipping high students, 100%. Bob is not playing DOT, 100%, right? I am just a little bit concerned is, what if Ceridra, which is technically a brand new Harmony, she does the job better than Sunday? Is Bob's genuine concern, because Bob don't look at leaks like Didas. Bob does not look at leaks. And this particular scenario with Ceridra, right, it is like the exact same scenario. Why the hell are we in Panicani? This unit here, the Chess Master Monarch, Bob was placed in a extremely similar situation when Tribute was announced in 3.1. I'm not sure if you guys remember. Essentially, Bob was faced with a choice of either pulling for Babin and Tribute, because we had an influx of pulls, or we slam all in E1 Tribute. Do we actually commit to not just E0? Because if we do want to play Sunday with all the skill points, we are most likely going to be getting E0 as one Sunday, right? He can't really even make use of DDD that much. Are we okay with a E0 as one Sunday commitment? And then see how the Ceridra inclusion is going to be like going forward. And at this point, I don't even know if Ceridra can fit into D Herta or Casualist, but the bottom line is she's a support and Honkai support reel. So whenever a brand new support banner releases, there's always a lot of like speculations as to whether this thing is going to change everything in HSR. Because every single time a brand new support comes out, they more or less change a lot of different DPS as well as their placement in the meta, right? Best case scenario, right? If you want to weigh your odds, right? Statistics, probabilities, we are going to be getting a pretty nice influx of Stellar Jades in 3.4, especially with the Fate collaboration event. We're going to be getting a lot of different things. We are going to be getting a 3.5 patch, which, you know, if we average 80-90 pulls, this should net Bob's account roughly 350. Right, 340, 350 pulls going forward for the next 2 months-ish, right? Because Ceridra is second half of 3.5, so I technically don't even need to pull Ceridra all the way until like the last few days of a banner, right? Nobody said I need to pull Ceridra day 1 or 3.5, right? So we likely have roughly 300 and let's just say 350 pulls, right? 350 pulls. So worst come to worst, committing 160, 150-ish, we could technically secure a Sunday and Ceridra. And then from that aspect, we are probably gonna be skimping out on a lot of potential FOMOs. Because as we all know by now, pulling for DPS feels better. It feels fun, right? Who the fuck wants to pull for a support? It doesn't even do shit. Look at Finon. Holy shit, bro is a Giga Chat, you know, rage, crash out, everything. Pulling for DPS is always more fun. If Bob is gonna be committing down this path, it means that he has to skip through every single fancy, schmancy, everything for, I think, the next like 3 months. Yeah, it is a factor to concern ourselves with. And what if Sarija were to work even better with a unreleased DPS? Or what if Sarija works way better with a support or a DPS that Bob had no intention to put in the first place? So it's not like I'm putting a support for the DPS, but I'm like putting this DPS just for the sake of my support, because we are prioritizing our supports over DPS, right? So a lot of things, a lot of thoughts, and a lot of considerations. And honestly, I'm gonna be so for real, I don't have a clear answer for this. I don't think there is a 100% right way to see where everything is gonna go. I just know the only thing I know right now for Bob is that if he pulls for Saber, it is greedy and stupid. I'll leave you guys on what y'all think on how we should be going forward, because we still have quite a lot of days left before everything comes out, because Saber is gonna last a very long time and Sarija is like super far away. But those two are gonna be my primary modes of concern with regards to my free-to-play account, right? Aside from that, just to wrap up this video, my current plans when it comes to like progression and stamina outside from the units pools, I think I'm still gonna stick to building up our relics, because I think my relics, especially for my DPS, they are hella cooked, right? They do need definitely a little bit more work. And going forward for like all of the new sets that comes up, for example, Waste Strider and everything, which Bob technically farmed, by the way. Like Bob was already low-key, high-key pre-farming for Saber. Bob was already pre-farming for Saber, right? And bro can't even use this Waste Strider captain for any of these but bitch assets. Yeah, we need to reconvene in this with the YouTube comments and like the communities of building and everything, because I think this free-to-play project, it has been extremely fun. Especially the past couple of endgame content videos. I'm not gonna bring this every single day, but straight in from in terms of when we actually do hop on, it has been very insightful to look at like how the experience is like. Maybe not as a day one free to play, because there's no way a day one free to play will have like worse relics than Bob, right? Or like similar caliber if you're day one, because this account literally started in 2025, right? Bob allows me, MrPokke, to be a little bit more grounded with like the experiences running shit like full E0 S0, right? Or at least one E0 S1. Even with the E1 tribute, it's not like we're cooking every single stage in 0 cycles, right? Even with the E1 tribute. So it has been a very fun journey, and we're gonna keep going forward, especially, you know, when Fake Collab rolls around, and we'll see where that happens, right? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Word of the day is going to be free to place can pull Islands. Join Twitch, join YouTube, join Discord, join Twitter, join Q. Join our Patreon for exclusive content and use code POKKE with 10% off gamer subs. All the best for gacha pools. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.